Greetings and welcome to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel. So, in this video, I'm going to answer 4 questions that are very commonly asked. And here they are. Why do students have problems with fractions? Well, the answer to that is very simple. Fractions are actually numbers, and all numbers are fractions. The problem is that educators and students have no clue what it means to be a number. That's the reason students have problems with fractions, because their educators don't know what they are and don't understand them. So how can students do anything but replicate what their educators do, which is learn how to use the results and have zero understanding? Why don't math educators know where numbers come from or how to systematically derive them without the garbage of axioms and formalism, which is just another word for authoritarianism by these prize assholes who sit on top of the academic math trash heap? You know, the ones awarding themselves field medals and Abel prizes. Well, the answer to that is also straightforward. Numbers are formulated geometrically, and these nincompoops have never understood geometry, much less the elements of Euclid, which, by the way, this is going to come as a shock to you. The elements of Euclid are not about geometry. Okay, why do students have so much trouble learning arithmetic? Well, because people don't usually learn well unless they understand the concepts being taught. If you're honest with yourself, come on, don't be an asshole. You know you didn't understand what your teacher was telling you. Yes, you learned it. You learned how to use it well so that you could get through, so that you could get an education, in quotes, and a career and live the American nightmare, or whichever nightmare you choose to live. Those buffoons known as math lecturers and teachers have no clue where arithmetic comes from, and they've never understood why the operations they use actually work. Now, number is the most important concept in mathematics. So why do mainstream morons, math morons, not have a definition? Well, because they've never understood mathematics. Most PhDs issued in the last 200 years have not been on mathematics, but on some bullshit on the topic of set theory, topology, and other drivel that has been introduced gradually into the field of mathematics, which has nothing to do with the abstract science of measure and number. Excuse me. Now, you'll often find hundreds of articles. Now, here's one again, that's been recommended: Foundations to Learning and Teaching Fractions, Addition and Subtraction. This is from the Canadian Ministry of Education. My word, these guys here are such a bunch of morons, but they're not unique. Believe it or not, this is the general opinion of most academic institutions on the planet. Okay, and so they've got a lot of topics here in the index. Let's start by looking at the first few. And so we've got a lot of quote research, end quote, going on here. They talk about, the opinions of others who are basically a bunch of assholes and don't know anything. But here's the first one, the first quote. The mathematics education literature is resounding in its findings that understanding fractions is a challenging area of mathematics for North American students to grasp. It's actually a challenging area for every student on the planet. Students also seem to have difficulty retaining fraction concepts. Of course they do. They don't understand them. If you think about it, take any topic that you want to learn. If you don't understand it, you begin to dislike it, okay? And once you start disliking something, you eventually begin to hate it. That's just how it is. That's human nature. So adults continue to struggle with fraction concepts. Wow. Not just adults. Your moronic math lecturers who've been awarded Abel prizes and Fields medals, even when fractions are important to daily work-related tasks. Well, of course they would be stupid. Fractions are numbers, and we use numbers every day. Okay. So I'm not going to be able to go through this whole article, but let's just read a few parts out of this that stick out and see why they're actually truly pathetic. Okay, so here's one. Um, it says here, additionally, fractions themselves underpin probability and algebraic reasoning. I mean, is there anything more obvious than that? They underpin everything, not just probability and algebraic reasoning, you stupid fools. They underpin the human story, STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. They are the basis of that because fractions are numbers. So Empson and Levi and those two ring a bell. View the study of fractions as foundational to the study of algebra in particular because it offers students the opportunity to grapple with the fundamental mathematical relationships that constitute the core of algebra. What absolute rot. Algebra is basically a weaker form of geometry. That's all it is. That govern how addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division work. Well, actually, those work not because of algebra, those work because of geometry. And in the details section, you'll see an article called Gabriel Arithmetic. You need to study that to see that you don't get those operations from algebra. They come to you directly from geometry. And I reveal to you a fantastic method, never before thought of or printed anywhere. It's my method that shows you how these operations work geometrically. If you have an open mind or a mind at all, you'll be blown away. Then it says, in addition, limited understanding of particular aspects of different meanings of fractions. Example, fraction is operator, as in 1/5 of a third. Well, a fraction is not an operator, you morons. It's a number. And it's not 1/5 of a third, okay? If you want to say 1/5 times 3, how do you do that? Okay, let's look at what happens here when you say, just to give an example of how clueless these fools are. And I don't know why my paintbrush isn't firing up. That's very strange. Come on. Let's just get that out of the way. All right, let's try now. All right. So, what did we say? 1/5 or 1/3, right? 1/5 of 3, not 1/3 or 1/5. I think it says 1/5 of 3. Okay. What this means is the measure of 1/5 using the reciprocal of 3. Okay. It really means this. It means 1/5 all over 1/3 like that. And if you add these up like that, and you add, and you know why you can do this? Well, you can do this because of book 5, proposition 12. Your idiot professor won't even know what that is. Okay, and that at the top will give you 3/5. And at the bottom you have 1. So the measure is 3/5. Okay, 3/5. Now you could do this the other way too. You could say 3 times a fifth. Okay. And that would simply just mean this here is actually equal to 3 divided by 5, which gives us 3/5. It's the measure of 3 using the reciprocal of 1/5, which is 5. So if you have to write it down like this, 3/5, there's nothing else you can do there. And that's the answer. Okay. So there are many things that you don't understand, but that I'm here to help you. In order to understand, you have to study my work because only I know these things. Nobody else does. Okay. Nobody else does. You will not find this information Anywhere else, it hasn't been written, it hasn't been printed. I recommend you look at this video here and study these articles: Realization and Development of Number, Arithmetic Without Numbers, and Learning the Correct Way. Why am I stressing these things, people? Because they're important. As you can see, you can't advance in mathematics unless you understand fractions, number in general, and how to perform all these operations. And look how far these morons have gone offline. They believe in a concept called a real number line. There is no such thing as a real number line. And it's the wrong way to teach every conceivable concept related to fractions. And also, this is the wrong way too, using areas when you haven't even fully understood what is a distance yet. An area is defined in terms of distance. Okay. So, as you can see, these clueless idiots just keep going on and on and on. And this isn't the first paper, and it won't be the last, because humans are creatures of habit. They just continue doing the wrong thing, hoping that someday it'll work. Does that make sense? Listen, if you're not already a subscriber to my channel, become a subscriber to my new calculus channel. It's this channel here. Follow me on academia. I have hundreds of articles here that you'll find useful. Contribute to my cause. I live beyond the poverty level, by the way. My benefit is way less than what somebody else gets. It's unfair because I've been cheated out of proper social security simply because of a rule that says if you don't have enough recent work credits, you don't get what you are supposed to get. Ironically, if I had declared my disability many years ago, I would have been probably earning about 5 times what I'm earning right now, because I used to earn over $1,000 a day at one time. Okay. I was a sought after software engineer. But anyway, that's another story. What I'm telling you right now is you need to subscribe here. If you become part of my members only channel, this channel here, okay, this channel here, then I get about €3, about €3 out of every €5 you donate monthly. And that helps me to pay some of my bills, some of my meds. My eye medication is terribly expensive. Here I am, the greatest mathematician, possibly of all time, struggling to make out a living. Isn't that an irony? Yep, it is an irony. Now, the cranks who have libeled me and said bad things about me simply want to keep you in your ignorance, secure their tenures, grow their gluteus maximi or their glutei maximi, however you want to call it, and extend their ignorance, incompetence, and their incorrigible stupidity. And I'm talking about your mainstream mathematics professors and teachers. They're dishonest, vile, despicable, horrible creatures who are actually guilty of crimes against humanity. I'm serious about that. They are the reason so many students drop out of math courses. They don't understand what they're teaching. They have no clue. Okay. So this is the meager money that I've earned in the last, 31 days. There are some channels with over 1 million subscribers, and I believe, don't believe, I'm told they get close to maybe $15,000 a month with all the ads. The least thing you could do is subscribe to my channel. Anyway, I'm John Gabriel. Till next time, goodbye.